I'm on. Boko, mighty Boko, hello, and welcome. Welcome to you all. A very interesting and important topic, a great topic, one that I have reflected on, thought upon, for many, many years. I've chewed, pondered, reflected, meditated on this subject. And whether you realise it or not, it will affect everyone. And the conclusions I come to may not be the conclusions you come to. But bear with me, it's a positive message in the midst of the days in which we live. So I've given it much thought. My only concern is that I cannot, I feel, do it justice. It's such a weighty and meaty, in that sense, topic that I fear I want to serve up to you, as it were, a 3-course meal. But I fear it would just mincemeat. And as I say, I've reflected on it a lot over the years. And you know, you've been in the country, or you may be walking through a field with cows in it. Have you ever noticed a cow who's standing there and suddenly it will shiver like this? And out of its many stomachs comes up to chew again the cud, to chew on it again and again. This is how I feel with this talk. It's so in-depth and important that I've got to do it justice, and that means it's going to take a bit of time. And for people who really just want some at 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I just can't do it. So if you feel after a number of minutes, you've got to pause it, come back another day. Just clock where you finish 10 minutes, 15, I'll come back and watch it another day, Marta. Good. So, it's a great title. Utopia. Utopia. Camelot. And the golden age to come. Camelot. 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 You remember that one? From the film with Richard Harris? I'll come back to that film a bit later on. Now, have you ever dreamed of a place where there's peace and security, and where living is not a drudgery or an oppression, but a lasting delight? If you, again, please forgive, I'm struggling with my voice at the minute. I've got a dry throat for weeks. Don't know what's wrong with it. But it'll be okay. If you're like me and Janie, who love your holidays, and for some people, they save all year, And they just look so forward to that time where they can get away and enjoy, hopefully, that perfect time. And I think of days where me and Janie, we've had perfect summer days and holidays. And you're sitting on the beach. It's a bit rocky and cliffs around you. Little children playing and laughing with glee. And the waves are coming in and rippling on the beach. Overhead there's seagulls that are soaring. And the sky's blue. And the sunshine is shimmering upon the waters, glistening, sparkling. And Janie says, "It's so beautiful, Marty." I say, "Yeah." And I say, they don't know how good they've got it, people that live around here, innit? And Janie's eating an ice cream and I've got a peach or a nectarine, and it's ripe and it's sweet and it's just perfect, and I bite into it and the juice just dribbles down my chin and I don't care even about wiping it away, and I'm just in the moment and I just want it to last forever. And no more thoughts of back home, of shopping, supermarket shopping, or cleaning in the house, or paying bills, or whatever you do day to day. And you're just there savouring it, and you want it to last, and you want it to go on, and you want it to endure, and you enjoy it. And after a great period of time, you think, "Yeah, that's been a great moment. That's been a great moment." I think back, to the gospel account of Jesus in the Mount of Transfiguration, where Peter, James and John, they go up the mountain with Jesus, and it says he's transfigured before them and shines bright as the sun, glistening, his clothes, everything. And Moses and Elijah appear. And Peter and the apostles sitting there, they don't know what to make of it, really. They're overcome. And Peter says, "Shall I build 3 tabernacles, 3 tents like that?" He just wants to sit there and be with Jesus. And wow, the moment. Wonderful, wonderful moment. I'm sure that you have had moments like that, maybe in different settings. And I think back to a film that impacted me when I was a kid. And I'm not referring to The Road to Utopia with Bob Hope or Bing Crosby. No, this one was called Lost Horizon, 1937, and directed by Frank Capra, starring Ronald Coleman. So it's about an ambassador in a private plane with a few other people flying over the Himalayas, gets caught in a storm, comes down in the snowy mountain peaks, and they're rescued by people who live in the valley. And the place is called Shangri-La, which means a remote, beautiful imaginary place where life approaches perfection. And all the people that live there are young. But if you left Shangri-La, you'd become very old very quickly. And I was fascinated by this as a child, and I thought it was an amazing concept. It stuck with me all these years. Now, I think there was a remake probably in the 90s. I've not seen it, but I remember the original. And the thought of eternal youth. Utopia. Again, sort of same characteristics as Shangri-La. The term was actually coined by Sir Thomas More in his 1516 book, this one, called Utopia. It describes a fictional island society that have this perfection. Now, the opposite of utopia is dystopia, which is characterised by the 1984 George Orwell's book. Opposite of utopia, dystopia. Now, amongst the human race, amongst people in all the religions, and certainly amongst truthers who come on the shopping trips for freedom, there is an aspiration, a yearning, a thirst, a desire, a dream, a hope, a hunger for a new society upon the earth. Now, are these things reality? Are they just vain aspirations of the heart, of the mind, fantasies, imaginations, speculative thinking? Are they correct? Some people would say, Bucko, you've been reading too many books, or you've watched too many films. They're only fictional, Bucko. You should know that, of course. But here's the point. Are they rooted in something that has happened in the past and will yet happen in the future? It is my belief and assessment of the situation that this desire is correct. If you think about it, in every area of human desire, there is a reality for that problem. If you look at the desire when one is hungry, the yearning for food, the desire for food, it can be alleviated, and food will relieve the hunger. If one is thirsty, there is liquid water and other things to quench the thirst, but nothing quite quenches it like water. And whatever you want to drink after that's fine, then, but you want water. Yeah. If you're wearisome and tired, sleep will refresh your body. Then other bodily desires too. In other words, there is that which will satisfy. We've not been created with desire for things that are not true and real. And if one has this within society, of whatever religion you're in, then it must be rooted in truth. And I believe it has happened in the past, and it will yet happen in the golden age to come. Yes. Yes, it's a correct assessment. So let's go back where this has happened in the past. I come at things from the Christian perspective, from the Judeo-Christian worldview, the Old and New Testament as the ancient manuscripts, the guidebook of the supernatural. In that initial creation, man and woman were created innocent. They were in an environment that was perfect. There were no thunderstorms, earthquakes, tsunamis, twisters, storms of any sort. The animal kingdom was at peace. There was no devouring, and the fruits and vegetables brought forth abundantly and naturally, without the thorns and thistles, and trying to harvest things with the sweat of your brow. There was no rain, actually. There was a mist that watered the earth. Such was the weather and their innocency that they didn't even wear clothes, and they were not ashamed. A perfect environment within a garden. Notice they were in a garden, not in a city. Something to reflect upon. Now, back to that psalm that I... Camelot, Camelot. And as Richard Harris sings, he mentions that the snow can only fall this sort of month, and the rain only falls after dawn, and the sun has gone down. La da da dee da da, la da 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 da. Regulated, perfect environment was Camelot. And in the golden age to come, this is going to be happening. This perfect state. Now, we have only ever known a world out of whack. In other words, after the fall of mankind by disobedience to God and being thrown out of the garden because they were deceived by the serpent, sin entered the world, and with it came sickness and death. So, we've only ever known the horrors of death, of disease, of war, of destruction, tyranny, and such like. Because this is our reality. We can't look back at the world that then was, and neither can we see the future golden age. We're stuck in this. So the question, realistically, is then how is this going to come about? Oh, in other words, is man going to do it in and of himself, through his own methods and means? Or is the personal, infinite, living God, the creator of heaven and earth, all things that are seen and unseen, going to do it? Now we see the kingdoms of men. We can look back in history. We can go to museums. We can understand the empires. The Babylonian Empire that came out of Iraq area with King Nebuchadnezzar. And after that, King Cyrus, the Medes and the Persians, and Alexander the Great follows on after that with the Grecian Empire, and then Julius Caesar, and the Roman Empire. And then there are many political empires of men. Our own British Empire, the sun never set upon. And secular, just secular kingdoms of men. Kingdom set up, even atheistic, Marxist, Leninist, Stalin, Mao Zedong. And we've seen the fragmentation of the Soviet Union. We've seen the horrors and injustices of all these systems. And how we yearn for a place where there is peace and safety without fear of despotic rule that will harm us. How we desire equality for all, for truth and light to shine. For people to enjoy their lives in peace. Some people and little children shouldn't have to suffer the horrors of war and see murder and violence and aggression. So, now, I've been on numerous, as I say, of the shopping trips, and I've listened to the speakers. And some of the speakers, quite a few in fact, have said, We're going to sweep away, when all this evil has been swept away of the tyranny, it will be left to us to establish society and build anew. We can do it. And you know, the applause went up. Yay! And you know, I was one of them standing there. Yay! Yes! Yes! We're going to build the society up. We can do it. Because it goes back to this aspiration again. This dream to be freed from the horrors of man's despotism, dictatorship, and torment. And who wouldn't want a society of love and peace? Of course I was applauding, just the same you would if you were standing there. But in my heart, you know, although I was giving it this and yes and yay, I was thinking in my heart, no, man can't do it. And I'll tell you why he can't do it. Because he's fallen. Oh, don't be so negative, Martin. It's not being negative. Sometimes we've got to be realistic. Look, we've had a few thousand years to have a go at this in society. So there should be somewhere that you can point to and say, okay, what about this? So, show me, please. I'm willing to learn. Show me a society where this utopia, this Shangri-La has taken place. Please show me. And I tell you what, it can be any time period in history, from any country in the world. Please put it in the comments. Where do you think this has taken place? Because I can't find it. I can't find it. Can you? I was in the supermarket the other day and I saw an older gentleman with a t-shirt. He had a black muzzle on, but his t-shirt said, "All I want is world peace." And I smiled at him and I put my thumb up and I says, "I like your t-shirt, mate." And he nodded. Now some may say, well, what about pagan religion? Let's just go back. And, you know, they were all in harmony, weren't they? With Mother Nature. Well, the thing is, the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Druids, the problem is the human sacrifice, isn't it? I mean, it all may sound very nice, but if you're one of the people that's amongst the thousands and thousands and thousands offered up in human sacrifice, it's not a very good deal, is it? Having your heart ripped out. So, point to the period of time, because we've had a lot of time to do it. If man can do it, show me. So, a lot of the truth is, they just say, well, you know, well, well, the awakening process will come about when all humanity will come together and our chakras will ascend to the sixth planet and we will all become one. Yeah. I know people are sincere, I know they're sincere. Yeah? But man is fallen. And this is my situation on it. Well, some may say, well, look at Christendom, bucko. Look at the mess they've made. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Big time, pal. Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, look at it. Catholicism's tried for hundreds of years. And what do you end up with? People burnt at the stake. Inquisitions. Pogroms. Look, did you know? Give you a bit of history here. In 1555, did you know that the Archbishop of Canterbury was burnt at the stake? Thomas Cranmer. Did you know that? In Oxford. The Archbishop of Canterbury, of the Anglican Church, was burnt at the stake. And not just him, with two other bishops. Hugh Latimer from Leicestershire, my stretch of the woods. Dirkeston, he came from, in Leicestershire. And Nicholas Ridley. All three of them burnt by Catholicism. You see, when religion gets out of hand, it gets badly out of hand. Yeah? There's nobody as deluded who thinks they're doing God's service by killing people. It's the biggest delusion you can come to, but there you are. There you have it. Now you say, well, what about Protestantism? Didn't they kill Catholics too? Yes, they did. Yes. I'm coming to that. You had John Calvin in Switzerland, one of the Protestant reformers, who tried to bring the kingdom of God to the city of Geneva. Now, anyone who criticised his sermons or anything like that, woe betide them. Woe betide them. You know. And it finished up. He had Michael Servetus. He had him burnt at the stake for criticising his sermons. I jest not. This is what goes on. So it's happened both ways. Yes, it's true. The majority was Roman Catholicism killing Protestants, but it happened the other way too. Right? And then you've got all the other fanaticisms of all the other religions when it gets out of hand and people get whipped up in a frenzy. Look at what the apostles suffered at the hands of the religious leaders of the day. Look at what goes on in Islamic countries. Sometimes it all goes wrong. Hinduism as well. They try to exterminate everyone, get everyone out, as it were, who's not of that type. It's horrible what can happen. So the religions, yeah, they've failed, haven't they? And let me put it to you. Do you think if the truth has took over world society, they wouldn't end up fighting amongst themselves? Do you really think they wouldn't? It's human nature. Maybe it wouldn't happen for a while, but then party spirits would set in. And the venom against you're of that type, you're of that type, you're of that type, infighting. Because it's human nature. And the past history demonstrates, it proves man is fallen. It's a wonderful thing when you come to this understanding that we're not going to do it. And that's not being negative. That's actually being positive because you're seeing the situation as it really is. Now, you want world peace, right? You want world peace. Well, do you have peace in your own house? Do you have peace with your wife? Do you have peace with your husband? Do you have peace with your children? Do you have peace with your neighbours? Have you got peace with everyone in your workplace? Now, if you're not got peace with these people, how can you have world peace? It starts with you. It starts with me. When you see someone in the city centre who you don't like, do you put your head down like that and walk away, hope they don't see me, move away a bit on the other side? You don't have peace with that person, do you? And so it goes on. I'm going to give an illustration. When I worked on the markets in Leicester for a guy called Wally Meir, he used to own racehorses and he won Royal Ascot with Miss Bananas. And yeah, he actually did sell bananas. And now, imagine you were in the bookies and you saw a guy come in and he puts £1,000, let's call the horse Thunderbolt. He says £1,000 on the 1:30 at Cheltenham on Thunderbolt. And the race begins and Thunderbolt goes 45, 60 paces and then collapses on the ground. Now the next day, he's back again. And it's that guy again. And here he is, £1,000 on Thunderbolt. And again, he falls down after 60 paces. And he's back again the next day, another 1,000. Now after a while, you'd say to yourself, hang on a minute, that man's loyalty to that old nag, Thunderbolt, far exceeds his common sense. He's so committed and loyal to that old horse, he don't see that it's not a racehorse. It can't do it. Oh, he says, just wait and see. He'll get there in the end. Bit more training, giving him the right oats. He'll get there. No. He collapses. Time after time. £1,000 after £1,000. Waste of time. And you know what? That is exactly the right illustration for people who are trusting the human race to do this. We can do it. We're gonna bring in this utopia upon the earth. We're gonna bring in this Shangri-La. We're gonna bring it in. No, I don't believe it. No, you're entitled. You can give it a go even. I wish you every success. And I mean that. I mean it. But I don't believe it. I don't believe we can do it. No. So how then will it come about, bucko? Well, bear with me. I'm going to read you some scripture verses. Yeah. From the Bible, from the ancient manuscripts. I've just got about 5 or so verses for you. Please, I'm almost finishing, it won't be too long. First one, Isaiah 9, Old Testament. Verse 6 and 7. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it, to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Now get this. When God says the zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this, it means it's going to come into being. The throne of David. Upon the throne of David. To order and establish. Brilliant. Wow. Isaiah 11, verse 6 to 9. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. Daniel. He speaks of the kingdoms that I mentioned, all them kingdoms of the past. Daniel the prophet, and in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Revelation 11:5. Sorry, 11:15. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. The kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our Lord. And the last one, there's many verses, but I'm just giving you a smattering and a taste. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto the throne. Now is come salvation, strength, and the kingdom of our God. Yeah, that's it. So this kingdom, this glorious golden age to come upon the earth, in my estimation, with biblical authority as my support, I state emphatically, will only come about through the return of the King, King Jesus, Yeshua, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And with the return of the Prince of Peace, peace will come to the earth. And remember that at his coming, he will consume the beast of Revelation with the breath of his mouth. So, a couple of books just to quickly advertise. The Coming Kingdom by Andy Woods. Notice the little lamb lying down with the lion, and he will be eating straw like the ox. And of course, the millennium just means millennium simply means 1,000 years, which is the duration of the golden age upon the earth, and then we enter into the new heavens, the new earth, eternity. So, I want to propose a toast. Yes, now look, this sums up my talk. Gold, the golden age to come. But first, these people, the global delete, the ankle biters, the evil cabal of goblins, they've got to go, and they will go when King Jesus comes and destroys them. So, I propose a toast. Why not? Bucko's 60th birthday glass. Come on, put it to use. That's it. I propose a toast to the fall of the evil cabal of goblins. Yes, their day will come and they will fall. Enjoy. Cheers. And then I propose a toast to Marty Bucko, who has found his Shangri-La, his Camelot. Cheers. And then a toast to all my dear friends, viewers and subscribers, that they too may find their Utopia, their Camelot, their Shangri-La. In short, there's simply not a more congenial spot for happy ever aftering than here in Camelot.